Ready to go? Perfect.
Good?
Yeah. Great. Hi. Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
I'm sexy and I know. Am I on the mic? Awesome.
OK, let's go.
All right. Hi, I'm Neha Sampat,
And I'm Matthew Baya.
and we're here today to talk to you about KurbKarma.
Let's face it, parking is a
Big problem.
right. As you can see, people get really, really agitated and worked up about parking. And it's really no surprise. If you take Brooklyn, for example, half of the traffic in Brooklyn is actually caused by people circling for a parking spot. So we're here today to end that madness and to disrupt parking. We're proud to announce KurbKarma. KurbKarma is an app for your smartphone, available for the very first time today. And with KurbKarma, you can participate in a social network for parking. Essentially, KurbKarma finds you parking where and when you need it. So let's have a look at how this works. Let's say Heather has an awesome parking spot, and she's getting ready to leave. And let's say Marissa needs to find parking. Now, these two have never met. But with KurbKarma, Marissa can find and reserve Heather's parking spot. But what's in it for Heather? Well, Heather can earn something called a Karma credit. A Karma credit is worth $1 and available for purchase in the App Store. And so Marissa needs 2 Karma credits to reserve a spot. When Heather gives her spot to Marissa, she earns one of those Karma credits, worth $1, and she can use that Karma credit next time she is looking for parking. The other Karma credit goes to KurbKarma. And so at the end of this exchange, Marissa has found awesome parking, Heather earned a Karma credit for something she was going to do anyway, and KurbKarma earned $1 as well. Everybody wins. So now that we understand how this works in principle, let's have a look at the app live in action. So over there, we have Heather. She scored an awesome parking spot earlier today, right outside of her favorite cafe, and she's getting ready to leave. So here's how she makes her spot available to the KurbKarma community. First, she fires up KurbKarma and selects Have a Spot. Using the map feature, she can pinpoint exactly where she parked her car. She can either drop a pin, scroll around the map, or use an address to search for a specific location. And by the third click, she's published her spot to the KurbKarma community, and she's good to go.
Now let's meet Marissa. Marissa's meeting a friend at a cafe really close to where Heather's hanging out. She's been circling for a while, and she decides to pull over and use KurbKarma to help her find a parking spot. She fires up the app, and she chooses Need a Spot. Then she tells KurbKarma where and when she needs parking. And essentially, by her third click, she has a list of spots that are available. And it looks like there's actually a few great matches. And look, there's Heather's spot. She looks at Heather's spot and decides to choose Reserve. And she agrees to contribute 2 Karma credits for the reservation.
Meanwhile, Heather gets a notification that Marissa would like her spot. She can view the request and accepts it. And now those two are connected. Heather and Marissa can stay in touch using built-in messaging without revealing any personal contact information.
And Marissa can use the built-in navigation feature using GPS to navigate to the spot. And back on the messaging screen, it reminds her that she's looking for a silver Prius. Look, there's Heather's Prius.
And as Heather leaves, Marissa pulls right into her spot. Once they've completed the exchange, either party can click Finish. And at this point, Marissa scored an awesome parking spot, and Heather earned a Karma credit for her good deed. Finally, both can rate the interaction.
Thumbs up. All right, great. Now that we've been able to see the app in action, let's take a look at the business opportunity. So one thing that we understand is that not all parking spots are created equal. For example, in the city of San Francisco, with over 400,000 parking spots, only about 50,000 of those are considered in high demand. Now, of the 50,000 spots, they actually exchange hands about 2,600 times per year, which equates to 130 exchanges per year. Now, we know that not everybody has a smartphone, and not everybody with a smartphone will use KurbKarma, even though they should. Our model captures just 0.5% of these exchanges. And this means that over 500,000 exchanges would be captured and powered by KurbKarma. And because KurbKarma earns a karma credit for every exchange, we make $400,000 a year in revenue. And that's just one city. And we know that parking is actually a problem all over the world. In fact, take a look at this study that was conducted by IBM. They actually established a global index that ranks cities around the world based on their level of parking pain. Now, New York ranks pretty high over on the right side of the map, but cities like Singapore or Paris, they actually rank even higher. So our plan is to expand to cities all over the world, looking at 25 cities, about 4 million parking spots. We're looking at a $30 million revenue opportunity. And that's just in one city. And we're really excited about this.
All right, very quickly, you need Karma credits to use the app. We're very excited to be here today, so we're going to give away 10 free Karma credits to everyone who downloads the app. So go to the App Store, download KurbKarma, and get awesome parking karma at your fingertips. Thank you.
I guess I could start. Great presentation. Really like the concept. Good pain point. Consumers can definitely relate to. Question is on your go-to-market strategy. Obviously, the big question for all peer-to-peer marketplaces is the liquidity problem and cold start problem. And you guys have an even harder problem than most peer-to-peer exchanges because you're not only constrained by geography, but also time. Like you have to have the people participating on the supply side who have the spots at the right time during the day in the right neighborhoods. So how do you plan to go to market? Are you guys going to manage a lot of high volume spots on your own to ensure that there's liquidity day one? Or are you just doing a clever go-to-market to get people to sign up? Tell me about how you get to market.
Absolutely. So we've been a little bit under wraps because we couldn't actually announce anything until today. So we haven't had a chance to really drum up a lot of momentum yet. But because we're here at Disrupt, we're expecting to get a lot of really good traction from the event itself. We did some underground marketing prior to even applying to Disrupt, where we handed out parking citations. We own the domain name parkingisabitch.com. And with just very little effort, we got 2,500 pre-registrations without people even understanding what the app's about. We're talking to some partners about potentially partnering with them and offering benefits like free Karma credits to their member bases, which should help give us a lot of exposure. So we have a lot of really great go-to-market ideas. We've kind of just been holding back until today, and now we're ready to hit the market running. And part of our strategy is also to expand slowly into cities, because really, in order to be successful in a city, we really need a lot of good marketing traction. So that's why we're kind of restraining our app to San Francisco and New York to start with.
So let me ask you, let's say you've managed the liquidity problem, and I'm about to leave a spot, and oh, as it turns out, there's one or two people who want it. How do you get around the fact that, you know, I've just spent $10 maybe throughout the parking meter or whatnot throughout the day, and for an extra $2, you're really going to have me sit around for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes while somebody hunts me down? Are you finding that users are willing to do that?
Yeah, so it's actually interesting. When we were doing some field testing with our app, we actually had pulled over and we were waiting for the other car to show up, and we saw a few people come up and say, hey, I'm just parked around the corner. I'm just, you know, parked illegally around the corner. I'm going to come around. Will you wait for me for a minute? And there's really this kind of sense of collaboration and community around the pain point of parking. So we really think that that is something people will do. No one's being forced to use it. They usually are paying their bill or they're about to leave, and they'll say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and publish my spot and make it available. And if no one takes it, no skin off their back, they've spent 4 seconds, right? So yeah, I think that there's enough of a community around this problem that we'll start to see that that's actually going to pick up.
And maybe just one addition, you don't actually have to publish it right then for that moment. You can publish in advance, so you never end up waiting around. And if you end up leaving without somebody taking it, you've not wasted more than 3 clicks. Same as Foursquare.
So do you have people using this or not? You haven't launched yet, but it sounds like you've done some field testing.
We did some early testing just within a circle of friends and family and people in the tech community in San Francisco.
Okay.
But we basically are in the App Store officially as of a few hours ago. Okay. So yeah,
okay.
Not yet.
So why this idea? Why are you guys solving this idea? It's a really hard idea. The liquidity problem, lots of dimensions. If it goes well in one city, there's going to be clones all over. Like, why are you picking this problem to solve? Like,
why are we picking this problem?
Yeah, like why? Like, how did you get started? Why this?
So it actually happened. We were supposed to meet in San Francisco where parking is really bad, and we were supposed to meet at a cafe, actually at the City Light bookstore. And we were driving around specifically because we wanted to find a parking space and go to that City Light bookstore. We couldn't find parking. We ended up driving around for 30, 35 minutes. Eventually, we gave up, and we drove somewhere else. And so we were just sitting, ended up at a cafe, sitting at the bar, and thinking there should be an app for that. And so from there, obviously, we thought through all the scenarios and what would be needed to make that work. But essentially, it was a very practical problem that affects us on a day-to-day basis that I think many people share that pain point will like to see solved.
I think Fritz brought up some of the challenges that I see with it, where you have geo and time, and there's a lot of things that need to line up. Within the peer-to-peer consumption kind of marketplace that is expanding, are there leaders or people that you look to that have been able to solve some of the more complex timing issues? You're like, well, they've done it in this vertical, so therefore we feel we can do it in the parking vertical.
Yeah, I think a really good example is something like Airbnb, where you've seen that the idea came up and people are saying, who's going to wait around and who's going to give up their house? And that's a pure peer-to-peer thing and a big problem that needed to be solved. And they were able to make it happen. And it's kind of getting past the awareness phase where people kind of understand and see the benefit of it. And then it kind of starts to become a no-brainer or kind of a matter of habit. And that's what we're hoping to accomplish.
Is there a marketplace? Well, the Airbnb angle is, let's say, actually own an apartment in San Francisco that has parking. I think actually there's probably another startup that's focused on that. But is there a component of that where there is an Airbnb for my parking spot? Maybe that already exists.
So not today. The beauty of this app is it doesn't require any infrastructure, and it's not limited to street parking. The thing is, most people are used to street parking, so it's a very familiar model. So if you can get them good street parking, that's an easy benefit for them. But we can easily include private driveways and others, for the future if we get that there's enough demand for that.
One thing I wanted to add very fast, is this legal?
It's a very good question. You're probably referring to, I'm holding my spot for somebody else. What you can't do is you can't stand in a spot and just hold your car for your buddy coming around. But that's not what you're doing. You're basically just timing your departure to be roughly right with somebody who's arriving. Perfectly legal.
All right, cool. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Let's give all these guys a round of applause. And thank you, Adrian, Fritz, Dave, and Michelle for being up here. We have a 10-minute break now, but I wanted to let you guys know that today's Audience Choice Startup Alley winner is Babbleverse. So they got the most votes. Tomorrow you can vote again, and they will be in the startup grouping tomorrow afternoon.